The rain hammered against Lily's emporium, a relentless percussion that mirrored the throbbing behind my eyes. Eleanor Vance had just left, a perfume something sharp and expensive lingering in the air, like a mocking reminder. The gunshot. It still rang in my ears. "So, the widow's playing games," Sir DeMarco had said earlier, his voice low in the smoky gloom of the blue moon. "Always a complication with the Vances. Complications were my business, but this one felt different." Eleanor wasn't grieving, not really. There was a calculation in her eyes, a hardness that didn't belong with mourning. And the way she's mentioned Arthur's business dealings, it was too casual, too dismissive. I replayed the conversation in my head, searching for a crack, a slip. "He was a good man, Mr. Rourke," she said, her voice a carefully orchestrated tremor. "A generous man." "Was he?" I'd asked, letting the question hang in the air. She hadn't answered. A letter from Vance's hidden office pulse with illicit transactions. The shipment from Marseille, initially listed as industrial components, was now indisputably weapons. And Silas Thorne's name, a shadow lurking behind every deal, grew larger with each passing discovery. Benedibly Bellini, terrified and desperate to avoid Thorne's wrath, had provided the first solid link. Arthur feared him, Mr. Rourke. He whispered his name in the dark. Thorne. The name itself felt like a curse. No one knew where he came from, what he wanted. He moved like a phantom, pulling strings from the shadows, controlling events with an unseen hand. Miss Davies, perpetually nervous, had offered little of value. A flutter of eyelashes, a stammered denial, a carefully averted gaze. She was hiding something, I could feel it, but breaking through her fear was proving difficult. I needed leverage, something to force her to talk. The rain intensified, blurring the neon signs of the city into hazy pools of colour. I needed a drink, and a plan. The breezy spoon diner was deserted except for Frankie Fingers Falcon, nursing a cup of coffee and looking even more anxious than usual. "Thorne's got his tendrils everywhere, Jack," he said, his voice barely above a whisper. "The longshoremen, the police, even some of the judges." "How deep does he go?" I asked, stirring my coffee with a weary sigh. "Deeper than you can imagine. He's got the city in his pocket, Jack. Don't underestimate him." "I'm trying not to," I muttered, taking a long swallow of coffee, but finding a way to stick it to him that's going to be a problem. Frankie pushed a newspaper across the table. "Read this. It's about the asterisk, the serpent asterisk." The asterisk, the serpent asterisk, a cargo freighter bound for Casablanca. It was supposed to be carrying those industrial components. Now, according to this article, it was carrying something else entirely. "Vivian Holloway," I said, my voice tightening. Benny the Blade had mentioned Holloway, Arthur Vance's former secretary, a young woman with fiery red hair and a defiant spark. She's been quiet since Arthur's disappearance. Now I knew why. She was leverage. Thorne had her. He was using her to pressure someone, or something. I had to find her, and I had to find a way to get to Silas Thorne. The thought of confronting Thorne sent a shiver down my spine. He was a predator, and I was just a stray cat wandering into his territory. Miss Davies' apartment was small, cramped, smelling of cheap laundry detergent and suppressed fear. I found her huddled on the edge of her bed, her eyes darting nervously around the room. "Miss Davies," I said, my voice gentle but firm, "I need you to tell me everything you know about Arthur Vance's dealings." She shook her head, tears welling in her eyes. "I can't, Mr. Rourke. He's a dangerous man. More dangerous than a gun to your head." Her breathing became shallow, her small frame trembling. "Please, Mr. Rourke, you don't understand. He's powerful." "Everyone is powerful when they're hiding something," I said, leaning closer. "But secrets have a way of surfacing, Miss Davies. It's only a matter of time." Suddenly, a sharp rap on the door startled her. She jumped, her eyes widening in terror. "Who is it?" she whispered, her voice barely audible. A deep voice responded, "Just a friend, Miss Davies." It was Eleanor Vance. She entered the apartment without waiting for an invitation, her eyes fixed on me. "Mr. Rourke," she said, her voice laced with a dangerous calm, "I believe we need to talk." "I was just having a conversation with Miss Davies," I said, stepping between her and the terrified secretary. "I'm sure you were," she replied, her smile chillingly insincere. "But I'm afraid our conversation is far more important." "And what would that be?" I asked, my hand instinctively moving towards the Bolt de 45 hidden beneath my jacket. "Let's just say," she said, her eyes glittering with malice, "that Arthur's business dealings were rather complicated, and some secrets are best left buried." Before I could respond, a single gunshot echoed through the cramped apartment. Miss Davies crumpled to the floor, a crimson stain blossoming on her chest. Eleanor Vance stood over her, a pearl-handled pistol still smoking in her hand. "You should have minded your own business, Mr. Rourke," she said, her voice cold and devoid of emotion. "Now, I believe you're going to join her." She raised the pistol, her finger tightening on the trigger. But before she could fire, a figure emerged from the shadows, knocking the bun from her hand. It was Silas Thorne. "You lean out," he said, his voice a low growl. "You're playing a dangerous game." "I was merely expediting matters," she retorted, her eyes burning with defiance. "You're out of your depth," he said, his gaze unwavering, "and you're jeopardizing everything." He turned to me, his eyes filled with a chilling intensity. "You're playing with fire, Mr. Rourke," he said, his voice dripping with menace, "and you're going to get burned." The rain hadn't stopped. It felt like a shroud, clinging to the city, concealing its secrets. Thorne was right. I was playing with fire, but I wasn't going to back down. Not now. Not ever. I had a feeling this was just the beginning, and I had a feeling Silas Thorne wasn't finished with me yet.